guys, welcome back to Grade 4 Social Studies, the history of the land. Today, as you can probably guess, we're going to talk about paleontology and the science of studying dinosaurs. I hope you enjoyed that song. It's going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the week. So when I was growing up in Drumheller, I always thought I would be a paleontologist, and then I worked at the museum and decided teaching was better. So that's what I became, but who knows, maybe one day I'll go dig up some bones. Today, we are going to look at an article about a real life paleontologist in Alberta. And then we're gonna write another opinion paragraph about whether you think fossils should belong to museums or people who find them. So if you could go to, one second, this page in your notes, it says paleontology. We are going to read through this. So I'll give you a second to get that out and we'll start here. So we have learned about the origin of dinosaurs in Alberta. Origin means where they came from, but we have not yet discussed what the term paleontology means. Well, I kind of already told you what it means, but what do you think it could mean? Well, paleontology is the study of fossilized animals and plants. A paleontologist is someone who studies fossils, just like a geologist is someone who studies rocks and minerals. An important paleontologist who has done important work in Alberta is Dr. Phil Currie, and we're going to read this article about him below. After, you're going to fill in a 5WNH graphic organizer to summarize what we read, and then we're going to get to the opinion piece. So please pay attention while we read this article. I'm going to let you watch a video about Dr. Currie first, because we like videos. So if you could please pause the video and go to, wait a second. I don't know where to go. Here it is. Go to your Google Classroom, your assignment, and please go to digging up 75 million year old bones in Canada with Dr. Currie. There will be a video once it comes up. The video will be right here, so just hit play when you get there. I couldn't put it in this video because I didn't want to get banned again. So pause the video, go watch this, and come back. Okay, you're back. I'm assuming you watched the video. I hope you learned a lot. It was a pretty long video, but it gave you kind of a good idea of what it looks like to be a paleontologist and give you some cool scenery to look at as well. So this is the article. Please read along. If you want to just read it in your notes, you can skip ahead, but I will probably give some good hints and clues when we go through the article, so it's up to you. So the article's title is Digging Up 75 Million Year Old Bones with Canada's Dinosaur King. And it is by Stephanie Kemp. So Phil Currie has devoted much of his 65 years to digging up dinosaur bones and studying them. It's a passion that dates back to his childhood. To me, the exciting thing about dinosaurs is that every time you think you've learned something, you end up asking yourself more questions, said Currie. By piecing together clues buried for millions of years, Currie has helped to uncover how birds and dinosaurs are related and how dinosaurs live together in groups. He's discovered dozens of dinosaur species and named 25 of his finds. Imagine finding a fossil and getting to name it. I know a couple of the paleontologists at the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Drumheller got to name some of the dinosaurs after themselves, which is super cool. There have been at least 7 dinosaurs named in his honor. There you go. But he's so modest, he's not quite sure of the precise number. Currie's research has led him to dig in sites around the world, but much of his work has been carried out right here in Canada. More specifically, in Alberta's Dinosaur Provincial Park, which we learned about last time, a place that Currie told W5 is one of the richest sites in the world for dinosaur fossils. So W5 is like the news people that were talking to him. Dinosaur Park has over the last century or so produced over 700 dinosaur skeletons, plus innumerable bone beds and isolated bones. So a bone bed would be like a bunch of bones in one spot. Just an individualized fossil or isolated bone would be just one over randomly by itself. There are literally millions of bones exposed here at any one time, so it's a pretty amazing place. Remember, the bones are exposed because of erosion, and eventually the sedimentary rocks are melted or broken away, and out comes a dinosaur bone, which isn't going to go away because it's stronger. W5 recently joined Curie on one of his latest digs. It was no easy feat to get there. He kindly offered to escort us down to the site. Otherwise, we would have never found it ourselves. Getting to a dino dig. We met Curie and his wife, Eva Koppelhuis, interesting, also a paleontologist, off a dirt road in the middle of the park. We followed their truck down what could generously be described as a road, down a rocky abyss into a wonderland. Dinosaur Provincial Park may be 3 hours outside of Calgary, but the landscape is another world away. When we reached the bottom, we had to go on foot from there. This part of the park is off limits to the public, but if someone did manage to make their way to this restricted sector area, they would likely never notice Curie was there. The dig site was hidden beneath or behind a small hill, its existence only visible once you climbed up and over the small but steep rock. And that's where Curie, Koppelhuis, and their team of students and volunteers spent nearly 2 weeks slowly and methodically digging, scraping, and brushing dirt, trying to find fossils. It's an incredible part of the country to see, and our cameras were able to take it all in, from an aerial camera to a GoPro buried in the dirt. Unearthing ancient bones. It was amazing to watch these explorers search for clues and buried secrets. It was even more amazing to hear what happened when one of their shovels hit the ground and actually uncovered a long buried treasure. Remember, these bones are buried for, this article said, 75 million years. Right before our very eyes, Curie and his team found a dinosaur bone that had been lying underground for millions of years. It was magical. It's like I can tell the future, and I haven't even read this before. And even though Curie has done this thousands of times before, it's still magical for him too. You uncover it, it hasn't been exposed for 75 million years. Nobody else in the entire world has seen what you're seeing right now, he told W5. Small part of history. Curie said that some of their finds on this day could actually be a new species of dinosaur, but it will take months of testing in a lab before they know what they've got. And he'll be back again next year to see what else is out there. It's tough to come to an area and tear yourself away when you know you're making great discoveries there and that there's so much more that you could learn. But it's a lot easier when you know that a year from now, I'll be back in Dinosaur Park once again, he said. It's not lost on Curie that in the history of the world and the millennia that have passed since dinosaurs ruled the earth, the years he has spent searching amounts to little more than a blink of an eye. But in that brief time, he has packed a lot of discoveries, and surely many, many more to come. There's never been a day in Dinosaur Provincial Park where you don't find a bone. Never. In fact, there are days in Dinosaur Park when you are overwhelmed by bones. There are places here where literally you cannot step on the ground without stepping on a bone. It's a totally amazing place. Can you imagine going there? Maybe you could find something, who knows? All right, so this is a 5W plus H chart, and we are going to fill it in for the article that we just read. So you're going to fill in these boxes using information from what just said, the article we just read. So the questions are who. So you're going to write at least one sentence. I'm not expecting really long answers for this because the next thing is kind of long. So just give me at least one sentence about who the article was about. So make sure it's complete or it will get sent back to you. Who. This article was about. Tell me who. If you want to be, it would be great if you could be specific. Who and like tell me their profession. What is their job? That's a big hint. What? What is this article about? So your sentence should start, this article is about, and then give me a really good summary of what the article is about. If I just wanted to read one sentence about the article and know what they were talking about, what could you write? When? When was this article written? You could say this article was written, or you could tell me when it took place. This article took place, and then tell me where this article took place in, or Dr. Curie was in, and then tell me where. Dr. Curie found fossils in, tell me, and then why. Why is Dr. Curie out there looking for these fossils? Or why is he looking in Dinosaur Provincial Park for fossils? We talked about why at the start of the article and the end. And then how. The how of that article could be, how does he find the fossils? How does he use the fossils? How does he uncover the fossils? How did the people writing the article get to the bone site, to the dig site? So just one sentence, one complete sentence in each of these boxes. So pause this video while you do that. If you need to go back and listen to me read the article again, you can, or you have the article in front of you to read as well. So pause, and I'll see you in a second. Oh, hey, we're back. Okay, now we're in opinion writing. We've done this before, but we're gonna try it again and be a little more detailed in our answers. And we wanna make sure you're writing complete sentences and you are arguing a point of view. That's an opinion, it's your point of view. What do you believe? So they give us one question and you're gonna have to decide whether or not, or which side you're on. So imagine you are visiting Dinosaur Provincial Park and you find a fossil. It sounds like that's something that's really easy to do in Dinosaur Provincial Park. And once you find the fossil, you wonder though, is it okay for you to keep it? Whose fossil is it? So your question that you're going to answer in your article, or sorry, in your paragraph is, when someone finds a dinosaur fossil in Alberta, who should own it? Is it for that person or is it for all Albertans? There is a law in Alberta that says if you find a fossil, you need to give it to the province so that it can be studied and displayed in a museum. The museum can use that fossil to learn more about dinosaurs, maybe discover a new species, maybe it's a piece to a larger dinosaur that they don't have. There's so many ways the museums can use that fossil. And that way we learn a little bit more about our world's history. But the other side of that is you found the fossil. It's the land that you found it on isn't really owned by anybody. So should you be able to keep it for yourself, for your own collection? Some people want to have dinosaur collections. So what do you think is fair? Do you think if you find it, finders keepers, or do you think people should have to give it to the province to be studied and put on display for everybody? So we're not going to look at this part. We are just going to write your own article or a paragraph with your own point of view. So this is an example of what your opinion piece could look like. Remember, you need a catchy title. So theirs is Finders Keepers, Fossil Keepers. That's kind of cute. I like that. So based on that title, what do you think their opinion is going to be? It says Finders Keepers, Fossil Keepers. Yeah, they're probably going to argue that they want to keep the fossils. So this is their opening sentence. And your opening sentence should describe your opinion. What do you think? Should they keep it? Should they not? So this person's first sentence is, if someone finds a fossil, they have every right to keep it! Exclamation point. So that gives a clear opinion. We know exactly what they believe. It sounds like they're very sure of their opinion. Then they give their reason. First, there are enough bones to go around for everyone in Dinosaur Provincial Park. There are millions of bones. So they got that information, the millions of bones things, from the article that Dr. Curie was in. So use that article and use the information from the videos to make your argument. So this is their first argument. There are enough bones for everybody. Their second argument is, it is almost impossible to find any fossils unless you're a paleontologist. Only paleontologists and students of paleontology are allowed in Dinosaur Provincial Park, like to find bones. Of course, there's tours, but to find bones, they're the only ones that are allowed. So how else can the common person learn about dinosaurs and fossils? So their second argument says it's not fair because where are we supposed to find fossils? Why are only they allowed to find fossils and keep them? That doesn't make sense to this person. So that's their argument. And they use a question to make their argument even better, because that's kind of a hard question to answer. How else can the common person learn about dinosaurs and fossils? Then finally, there is a closing sentence to really reaffirm your argument and say it again. State your argument again. As you can see, there are many reasons why people should have the right to keep the fossils that they find. So they use the transition, as you can see, and they say there's tons of reasons why people should have the right to keep the fossils they find. And that just, so they pretty much say this again, they have a right to keep it, but they reword it to end their paragraph. So you're going to write something like this. It's not too long. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They only wrote 6 sentences, and it's a pretty good argument for that side. Now, if you choose that side, please make sure you're using your own ideas and not the ones directly from this. In opinion writing, you can use transition words in each of your sentences. So in my opinion, people should be allowed to keep their own fossils. In my opinion, paleontologists deserve to have the fossils so they can study the dinosaurs. Or I think paleontologists deserve to keep the fossils. Or I believe I should be able to keep a fossil I find. Then when you're saying your first argument, you could say first, if I find the fossil, it's mine to keep. Or to start, to start, paleontologists need dinosaur fossils to learn more about ancient life. There's nothing else to tell them about what happened years ago. And then for your next argument, you could say second, if people started keeping fossils for themselves, there would be none left for the museums. Or another reason is museums need to have fossils because they need to bring in people to look at. What are the people who come to the museum going to look at if not the fossils? And then you could use finally, lastly, or most importantly, if you've got a really important idea. If you want to use an example, which I really think you should, for example, if I found a dinosaur bone in my backyard, I should be able to keep it because I own the land. And then when you're doing your last final argument, you could say in conclusion, as you can see, to sum it up, to summarize, and make that a really strong sentence to finish it. So you're going to write your introduction sentence, the first sentence that's stating your opinion. The first reason, please include an example from what we've talked about in class so far. Your second reason, including an example of what we've talked about in class so far. And your final conclusion sentence that restates your argument and tells everybody what you think again. If we have time, I will let you put all of those sentences together in a paragraph. Remember, you need your catchy title. They don't give you room for it on here, but it'd be cool if you could write it like maybe here, your catchy title about what your article is going to say or your paragraph is going to say. So if you have time, we're going to write it out in a good copy. And then my favorite, we're going to learn about the Royal Tyrrell Museum. So that's a lot of stuff to do, I know. So please take your time, do a good job. If you have questions, I am around. Good luck.